Hello and welcome to Virtualize Everything. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to install Docker in the easiest way manner on a Proxmox LXC container. This is the most lightweight and energy efficient as well as resource efficient way to install and run Docker on Proxmox. The first thing we're going to need to do is head to our Proxmox web interface. Then we're going to need to download a container template. If you don't already have one downloaded, you're going to go to local if you have a default install of Proxmox, and you're going to go to CT templates. At CT templates, if you already have an image downloaded, you'll see it here, just like I have for the Ubuntu 24.04 image. If you don't have an image here, you're going to navigate to templates right here. And then you could browse through all the different templates and choose the one you want. Today we will be working with the one that I've downloaded, but let's go ahead and download Debian 12 so that I have it in my repository and I can show you how to download. So we're just going to highlight Debian 12 and we're going to press download. Now this will automatically download and it'll tell us task OK when it's finished. We don't have to wait at this screen for it to finish downloading. We can simply press X. And down here in the lower bar, it'll download. Now you can see task OK and that it has appeared in the window here. Now we're ready to create our first container or our container that will be running Docker in. This is a pretty straightforward process and it's done by hitting Create CT right here in the upper right-hand corner of our screen. Now we can go ahead and enter our host name. This will be the name that your router and other devices see this container as. We'll call ours Docker Video today. For Docker, we can leave this unprivileged and we can leave this nested. Unprivileged and nested are different security settings that may or may not have to be disabled for other projects. We try to leave them checked at all possible because unchecking them defeats a lot of the security advantages of containers. Here for password, you'll enter a password as you so desire. This will be a root password, so in most cases we'll change this after we start our container. Then we can press next and we can choose our template. Remember, we downloaded our template to the local drive, so we'll make sure local is showing in store. Then we'll select template in the dropdown and we're going to select the image of Ubuntu 24.04. We could use the Debian 12 that we just downloaded, and if you look at size, you can note that Ubuntu is a little bit larger than Debian because Ubuntu comes packaged with more tools. Now we'll select that and we'll press next. For disk, 8 gigs will be fine for our project today, but be sure to update that and enlarge that if you need to later on. For CPU, we can set as many cores as we need for our project, and again, 1 core will be fine for us today. So we'll press next. And memory, the same goes. We can enlarge this or decrease this depending on our project. I suggest not going below 512, but you can if needed. 512 will be plenty for our project, so we'll press next. Here at our networking screen, we can select our bridge. If you have configured Proxmox networking and you have multiple VLANs, this is how you would select the VLANs, either through VLAN tagging or through your bridge. For me, I'm going to select my VMBR1 bridge, but if you don't have that and you just have VMBR0, feel free to use that for your desired project. Now, my network uses IPv4, so I can choose between static or DHCP. I'm going to be choosing DHCP today as it makes it easier for me to get IP addresses and work with my project. In most cases, you're going to want to choose static for most Docker-related projects. So if you wanted a static IP address, you'd enter it here as such, like 192.168.0, and then whatever number, something like 200. And then since 192.168 is a Class C network, it's going to have a standard CIDR notation of /24. And then you'd enter the gateway that your internet comes in for this standardly it would be 192.168.0.1, but yours may differ. So make sure you're entering the correct information in this window for your network. Again, as I said, I'm going to be selecting DHCP for this project, and I'm going to press next. I'm going to use my default DNS settings, but if I had a Pi-hole server that I wanted this to work through, or maybe I was setting up a Pi-hole server and I wanted to set up my updates and everything to come in through Google, I could enter something like this. And yes, I know this isn't Google, it's one dot, but you could enter something like that. I'm going to use the default host settings for my network. Then I'm going to press next, make sure everything looks correct, and press finish. Now we get task OK, and just like when we downloaded the image, that means that everything's set up and ready to be used, so we can close our window. Selecting our container here, we can configure some options, and you notice the first one that appears on my computer is networking. Yours may be summary if you haven't browsed through any of these tabs on other containers. So summary gives you an overview of the resources and what is going on in your container, just like a management overlook. Console we'll interact with here in a minute. Resources is where you're going to set your memory, CPU, and your disk storage. If you do find that you're running out of space, you can click on root disk, go up to volume action and resize, and add storage to this. It will in containers automatically expand the size of the file system without having to expand the partitions or anything else like you would in a VM. Going to network, you can configure and change any network settings here by pressing edit and correctly filling out the information, just as we discussed through the creation wizard. At DNS, you could update your DNS settings, just like we discussed during the creation wizard. Options, this is where it gets fun. So you can configure some different settings in here. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these different settings here, as most of them don't pertain to Docker, which is what this video is about. The ones I do want to show you here, though, is start at boot, which if you want this container to start up if your Proxmox system's power fails or your Proxmox system restarts, you can go ahead, highlight this, press edit, and check the start it box. Then press OK. And shut down startup order. If you select this, press edit, you can give a order of priority. So if you need this container to start up after, say, a NAS server or something, you can select a higher number in the startup order. You can also make a startup delay. So say you had a NAS booting up that needed to fully boot up before later containers started, you could put a number in here. Now, you would set your startup delay on the device that needs to fully boot up, and then set your devices that depend on that device to boot after that device. The rest of this doesn't really pertain to Docker at this time, but I will highlight features right here. As in the past, we've had to make changes to features setting to do things like running snap. Not a Docker situation, but it's good to know about. So here at features, if we press edit, we can change things like foos and keyctl for different configuration options. We're going to go ahead and close this, as we don't need to check any of these for our Docker deployment. The rest of these can be left alone. I will highlight backups. If you want to back up your container, you can select backup, press backup now, fill out your information, and hit backup. This won't schedule backups. This will do a one-time backup of your container right now after pressing backup. And firewall. Now there's no firewall in here, and by default your firewall is turned off for your initial deployment, but you can set rules. Press options, select firewall, and hit edit to enable your firewall if your project so needs one. And it's a good idea to use a firewall for most projects, especially ones that will be communicating with the internet in the form of a web server or as such. Alright, so now that we've looked at the setting, permissions, resources, network, DNS, and other configuration steps for our container, let's go ahead, start it up for the first time, and get to installing Docker. So we're going to go to console. We don't have to go to console to start, but we're going to want to be at console very soon after the start. And then we're going to go up here to start and click it. Now our container container will start booting up, and in just a few seconds you'll get a login screen. For your first login, you're going to log in with a username of root and the password that was configured during your creation of the container in the wizard. This will get us logged in. The first thing I want to do is type in IPA, and I can see my IP address. Since we were using DHCP, it's going to be automatically assigned. Now that I know we have an IP address and everything is up and running, let's go ahead and type in apt update and update the repositories of Ubuntu. Since 2404 has been out for a while, we have a few updates that need to be installed. To install these, we're going to enter apt grade and -y to install them. This process should be done periodically, and I like to do it every single time I log into any of my containers or really any of my Ubuntu systems. Now that everything is installed and updated, go ahead and start with the installation of Docker. So the first thing I like to do is create my user accounts. Since we're working with the root user here, we won't want to be using that later on, as it gives somebody that logs in with it a little more privileges than we'd like. So let's start out by typing add user for Ubuntu, a username, which we'll be using VE, and a new, stronger, secure password. We can go ahead and hit enter through all these questions, and the last question will ask us if it's correct. We'll press Y and enter. This will create a new user account called VE with a more secure and up-to-date password. Now we're going to press the up arrow, hit space, and enter sudo so that we can use sudo for future tasks, because we won't be having a root user account when this process is finished. So this adds the user VE to the group sudo. So we'll hit exit at this point and we'll log in with the VE user account. Now that we've logged in with the VE user account, we'll enter sudo passwd-l root and our sudo password. Our sudo password is our user account password, and you can notice that it says password changed. This essentially disabled the password for the root user account, making it unusable. So if we tried to now do something like su root and log in with our old root user password, we get incorrect password or authentication failed, and we can no longer use the root user account. So now it's time to start installing Docker. Now that we have got our user account and such all set up. Now I use a script from get.docker.com, which of course comes from docker.com. And this script does the whole installation of Docker in one foul swoop or one process. The only problem with that is to download and execute this script, we need to use a tool called Carl, and that tool doesn't come pre-installed inside of our Ubuntu containers. I found it does come with the Ubuntu operating system if we were running a VM, but it doesn't come inside of the container. So in order to download that and install that, we're going to enter sudo apt install carl-y. Now that we have Carl installed, let's go ahead, download the script, and install Docker. Now this script, as I said, is at get.docker.com, but we're going to need to give Carl some information before it downloads this script, and we need to tell it a little bit about how this script is written. So we enter Carl lowercase s, uppercase SL, or SSL, to say that we are going to use an SSL certificate. And since we're using SSL, we're going to also enter https:// in front of that get.docker.com. Then we're going to give a space, a pipe delimiter, another space, and sh, because the script is written in sh, and our system needs to know how to read our script and work with it. Once that's all been entered into the command line, we can go ahead and press enter, and Docker is going to fully install for us in about 2 to 3 minutes. Now that our window closed and reopened for us, Docker should be fully installed. In order to test this, let's go ahead and enter sudo docker ps, and we get an output that looks like this. Now, as said before, we don't want to have to enter sudo docker in front of every command. So let's again enter add user VE docker and add that Docker user group to the user VE. And it tells us that we have to have root access to do so, so we need to enter sudo in front of it. Now Docker is added to the user group VE. But we need to exit and log in with VE again. Now, if we were to enter Docker PS, we find that we don't have to use sudo. Let's this time enter Docker run hello-world and run the test to make sure that Docker is up and running. And we get an output that looks like so, that tells us that Docker is indeed up, running, and able to be interacted with. I hope you enjoyed today's video on getting Docker up and running inside of a Proxmox container here in 2025, and you found it educational and helpful. As always, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to Virtualize Everything to learn more about virtualization, Proxmox, and general home lab fun. As always, have a good night.